Welcome to Liberal Banter with Liz and Olu. Today we have a few things to discuss, especially since we took a break the last couple of weeks. Thank you for joining us if you've been listening the entire time. This week we wanted to talk about, first of all, Byron Donalds and his comment about Jim Crow. We have quite a few thoughts about that. And we want to say Happy Pride Month, but also talk about a couple of stories from the conservatives that made us a little concerned about how they're viewing Pride Month this year. So first we want to talk about a bar in Eagle, Idaho that is having a Heterosexual Awareness Month for some reason. And then talk about how the Federalists went after Dolly Parton and tried to get her canceled, again, for some reason.
For no reason.
For no reason, actually. And we stumbled across a really, truly insane song, a Trump praise song that was released this week that we'd love to share with you and get your thoughts on. And finally, unsolicited advice for Tesla shareholders who have a very big meeting and vote coming up this week. So first topic, Byron Donalds and Jim Crow. Oh, you want to get started on that? Because I know you had some thoughts on that on Threads, especially I saw the Joy Reid interview, which I think you posted about, which was fascinating, really.
Oh, I have to take a deep breath.
I love that sigh. This is so much. So much.
Take a deep breath, and I have to try to channel Abby Phillips and Joy Reid, who I do think were like examples of how to calmly debunk this kind of nonsense. So just to rein me in when I start like ranting.
I don't think it needs reining. I think we both saw the clip of Byron Donalds talking, first of all, and just the minute I saw it and I learned the context, he made these comments at an event for Black Republicans. This was not a room full of white people, because some people might think he was trying to pander.
Yeah, let's take it from the top. He was at an event in Philadelphia with another Black Republican GOP rep, Wesley Hunt, and they were presumably talking to a group of Black Republicans. And, you know, Byron Donalds has this thing where he often talks about his family, and he talks about his mom who raised him and gave him every opportunity and all of that. And then he talks about his father who was not present for whatever reason that we don't know about. He's more likely to talk about his mother than he has been about his father. And then he starts like this incredible stretch of linking that to the, you know, state of the Black family. And, you know, starts insinuating that, you know, the Black family suffered for so long, all these years because of liberal values. And he says during the Jim Crow era, the Black family was together. He says that during the Jim Crow era, Black people were not just conservative, because Black people have always been conservative-minded, but more Black people actually voted conservatively. Okay?
Mm-hmm. Which he considers a good thing. Right. He's a conservative.
Exactly. And these are all quotes that I'm saying directly, and I'm giving the context because he's gone around saying that people are missing the context. So I'm giving you the context of where he was, and I'm giving you the context of exactly what he said. I'm giving you the context of how he says his personal life is, you know, influenced by this view, right? So let us take this from the beginning.
Yes, let's
talk about the assertion that the Black family was together. It first starts with, what do you mean by a family? I assume it means a nuclear family, right?
Yes, yes. That is always the conservative's preference.
That is true. And, yes, marriage rates were higher. Like we're talking about the 1800s, right? Marriage rates were higher for everybody in the 1800s
Yes,
compared to now. So that's
exactly.
just a
And
nonsense.
and and there are so many reasons why marriage rates are higher, including a real lack of women's rights. You know, not
Thank
everybody who was married in the early 1900s wanted to stay married, but people didn't have choices back then. Women
thank you.
didn't have choices. I
Thank
mean,
you.
I'm not saying that's the only reason, but it's funny to bring some, situations from 100 plus years ago are not going to apply today. And there's many, many reasons why divorce rates are higher and or marriage rates are lower. And they don't all have to do with, Jim Crow. I'm just saying.
Exactly. And the fact of the matter is that in those families, the poor Black father who had a farm would have had to deal with serious legislation that disadvantaged his farm, right? The mother in that family would have been working pretty much as a servant, just like barely above what slavery was like for them. They would be working for, white families. There was segregation. So, I mean, when you say the Black family could be together, people like Nina Simone, their parents couldn't come with them to play concerts in white halls. So, how were they together? People like your own family. Does Byron Donalds consider his family a Black family? Because if he does, and then
Yeah.
he also acknowledges that his Black family would not have been able to exist in those days, in what ways were Black families together then?
Yeah,
If
and for those who don't know, Byron Donalds is married to a white woman. So when we say his family would not exist, we mean the fact that he's in an interracial relationship would not be possible under Jim Crow.
exactly,
It would be
exactly.
highly, highly illegal, potentially life-threatening to try to marry a white woman under Jim Crow.
Obviously, like it is beautiful that Byron Donalds' family exists now and that they're living their multiracial lives as many, many people during the Jim Crow era couldn't do. But does Byron Donalds realize that there was a real chance that his own children during the Jim Crow era would have had to pretend, maybe some of them would have chosen to pretend due to like societal pressures, that they were not actually Black at all, and they would have had to do a passing kind of practice that a lot of multiracial people had to do, where they just changed their appearance and separated themselves from their Black families so that they could assimilate and integrate and enjoy like white privileges. How is the Black family together in that scenario then? Right? This is
Yeah.
just the ridiculousness of the entire premise. So when he says his comments were being taken out of context, it wasn't being taken out of context. This is directly what you're saying. You're saying the Black family was not more united back then. And if we just look at the facts, that just does not make sense. Just being able to live under the same roof is not the same thing as being a thriving Black family. Now, to your point about voting conservatively, what they mean is that Black people voted Republican when they could eventually vote, right? Which is completely different. What Republican means back then is not the same thing as what Republican means now. And this strongly undermines the GOP assertion that, Black people are just like voting in a block, in a monolith. They're not like really thinking about it. It's just a reflex. Because you look at the voting records of Black people and you just understand that, yeah, of course they voted for their interests, right? When they had the party of Abraham Lincoln, that was the Republican Party, and was able to put an end to slavery, of course they voted Republican at that point because they were voting for their interests.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the 1960s, when the Republican Party decided that they were going to go all the way and oppose the civil rights movement, and people like JFK came along, and people like Lyndon Johnson, B. Johnson came along on the Democratic side, and were willing to give Black people civil rights concessions, then like any other logical voting base will do, Black people shifted their allegiances to the Democrats, right? And so this idea that Black people just voting for labels is completely wrong. This idea that Black people were voting for Republicans and then have just been brainwashed into voting for Democrats now is completely ridiculous. The Republicans did this to themselves.
They
They
did.
lost the Black vote due to turning their back on their prior legacy as being the party of Abraham Lincoln. And now they're the party who is blocking voting rights now, right?
Yeah.
And Black people can see that.
Everyone can see that. And I think that is part of the fantasy and lore that Black Republicans tell themselves, which is, back in the 60s or 50s, before the Civil Rights Act came up and was voted into law, Black people were probably in larger numbers voting Republican based on the legacy of the Republican Party at the time. And so that, to me, is hilarious justification for Black people in 2024 who vote Republican. It's still not a large number, despite what all the news and polls say. It's not like this is a huge sweeping move that is happening to get more Black people to vote Republican. But it is something that is happening in more numbers than it has in the last few decades. And that's part of why Byron Donalds was at this event, right? It's in Philly, which you would assume is not a Republican stronghold. And he was hosting an event because the Republicans are really trying to court Black people. And I guess as part of courting Black people, they trotted out, there are two Republican Black men in the Congress, Wesley Hunt and Byron Donalds, to have this conversation and, of course, bring up, quote unquote, the glory days, I guess, of Jim Crow, which is just hilarious.
And, I've got more for Byron Donalds because, this guy just gets my goat, okay?
Why don't we save, you know what, though? Here's what I'll say. I know there's been talk about him still being on the what's the word? The top list for Trump's VP. So why don't we save that till he actually, maybe, we don't know who Trump is going to pick, although we have our pick, our number one pick. But why don't we save it for next time and see if there's more we need to discuss on Byron Donalds? We could do that at a later date.
Just let me get this part off.
Oh my God.
Okay. Just let me get this part of my chest.
Okay, fine. Get it out.
What I was feeling. So this kind of talk as well is only ever said to Black families, this idea that the absence of Black fathers leads to, delinquency and poverty and all of that. And let's just even think about it. The very existence of Byron Donalds challenges that narrative, right? He didn't have his father, he had his mom, and she was able to raise a Black family without a father. By Byron Donalds' own admission, his sisters are doing well. He himself, he is doing well. Kamala Harris was raised by a single mother. Barack Obama was raised by a single mother. So what are you people talking about? This is it's like slut shaming wrapped in Black family respectability politics, wrapped in a lot of bullshit, right? So that's that one. Two, let's talk about why Byron Donalds' father may not have been around, right? Because a lot of the things that they talk about is, the criminality around that time, the delinquency around that time. Under their God, well, their second God, because Trump is really their God. And that's usually the narrative. And it's a very racist narrative that has been going on since forever, right? And it's only ever done with Black families. There's so many other crimes that white males commit, serial killers, mass shootings. We never have to have a national conversation about the state of the white family when that happens, right? But for some reason, whenever it's Black people, we always have to have that Black family conversation, and everybody acts like it's only Black families that have, divorce rates and single mother rates and all of that. But my point is the very existence of Byron Donalds pushes back against that, right? And then let's talk about, one of the reasons why Black fathers may not have been present. Ronald Reagan doubled the incarceration rates in the US from 300,000 plus to 600,000 plus. Then that continued. And to be fair, Democrats are on this table as well because Bill Clinton then expanded some of this. But the point is that it is really the Republicans' tough on crime stance that they're always pushing that is really pushing some of this. And then Byron Donalds himself, when he was 18, was charged with, marijuana possession. Then he had some other bribery charge as well. And at that point, lenient second chances laws give him a chance not to go to jail to be the person he is now. So if Byron Donalds really, really cares about the Black family and the presence of Black fathers, shouldn't he be championing those kind of laws now, the kind of laws that gave him a break? That's what you would think, right? Except no, he is actually trying to pressure liberal cities like Washington, D.C. to be more strict on delinquent youth and youth who break the law. And this is what does my head in. This is what breaks my brain about those people, because they act as if they came through and they came up by themselves, that they were able to do it in spite of it all. And you were not. You did get a break from liberal policies that you're now trying to pretend are not necessary and are not needed. It's just unforgivable to me.
Yes, agreed 100%. It's hypocrisy, and that is the name of the game in the GOP, unfortunately. Now,
I'm finished.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, I hope you're good. I hope you're good. We spent 20 minutes talking about Byron Donalds. I want to move on to a more fun topic. I guess maybe fun is not the correct word for this, but I want to talk about a bar in Eagle, Idaho. Now, I don't know where Eagle, Idaho is. I had to look this up on a map. I will tell everyone it is in Idaho, confirmed. So that's your geography lesson for today. And there is a bar in Eagle, Idaho called the Old State Saloon, which announced at the beginning of Pride Month. June is Pride Month. I hope everyone knows that. It announced at the beginning of Pride, this bar announced that they're going to have June be Heterosexual Awesomeness Month. And this was posted on Facebook and went viral. The bar owner said, June will be our inaugural Heterosexual Awesomeness Month. Come join us all month to celebrate heterosexuals, for without them, none of us would be here. Each Monday will be Hetero Male Monday, and any heterosexual male dressed like a heterosexual male will receive a free draft beer. Each Wednesday is Heterosexual Couples Day, and each heterosexual couple will receive 15% off their bill. This is what they said on Facebook. First of all, I have said the word heterosexual so many times just now. It's beginning to lose meaning. Why couldn't they just say straight? I don't know. Maybe straight is too woke. I don't know. What was fascinating for me is I saw this story on a local story. Living on the West Coast, sometimes I get some regional news from places like Idaho. And this local station went to the Idaho bar to interview the owner of the bar and find out more about their reasoning behind this. And it's a really fascinating video. If you can, you should look it up. I think the channel is like K something or other. I don't know. Look up Idaho Bar Heterosexual Awesomeness Month. But what was really interesting was when the reporter asked the bar owner why he was doing this, the bar owner said, because gay people and the LGBTQ community are always, quote, shoving things in people's faces. And so he felt it's become, quote, too much, with the pride parades and whatnot. And so he wanted something for heterosexual people to also be proud of and enjoy. And that was his reasoning. And the best part was this local journalist asked the bar owner, where have you seen gay people shoving things in your face in Eagle, Idaho? Again, this is a town 20 minutes, or I think it's 20 minutes or 20 miles outside Boise, Idaho. And Boise is the largest city in Idaho. If you're not familiar with U.S. geography, technically Idaho is already kind of the middle of nowhere. I think the population of Boise, Idaho is the same as maybe a small village in Europe at this point. I mean, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but you should know these are not big towns. These are not big cities. The closest big city to this guy is Boise, Idaho. They do have a pride parade in Boise, but Eagle, Idaho does not have a pride parade, does not have pride events, does not wave a pride flag around during Pride Month. So the journalist correctly asked the bar owner where this quote-unquote threat is of gay people taking over Eagle, Idaho, and the bar owner did not have a good response. And I just found it fascinating that this is happening in Pride Month. It's like there's 11 other months of the year if you want to be basically an asshole and claim, Hetero Awareness Month. And yet somehow it has to be in June. It has to be during Pride Month because this man is threatened by people who are just living their lives, minding their business.
I mean, it's ridiculous from beginning to the end. But what I really want to understand is how is this going to be enforced? So on Monday, it's going to be Hetero Male Monday.
Yes, which again, let's everyone just think about what we're describing here. A bar full of men. That, to me, is called a gay bar. I don't know what they call it in Eagle, Idaho, but a bar full of men, to me, is usually a gay bar. But yes, he said they're going to have a judge, or they were looking for judges to, quote, judge whether someone was dressed as a heterosexual male or not. Fascinating.
So, what I need, because it says hetero male, what I need is, I need it to be I need them to be trolled, okay? I need the village people kind of dressing, like the macho man kind of thing. I need that. I need the leather daddies. I need the sailors. I need the leather policemen. Let them tell those people that they're not dressed in a hetero male way. Because
But you're overlooking an important point, which is that then all those people will have to go to Eagle, Idaho.
Oh, that's true.
Who's going to, how do you get there? How do you get there? Do you do a horse and buggy? Is there a mountain pass you have to go through? I haven't, I'm so curious, I have to think about how to get there. I think they have an airport in Idaho. I'm not sure. But sure there must be a way to get there.
Boise has an airport.
Are we sure? Have you heard of Boise? What's Boise's airport name? Boise Airport?
I'm pretty sure it exists.
Obviously, I'm joking. But why? I'm not going to Idaho to troll people. It's too much work. It's too far. That's
true. And we shouldn't have to, no gay person should have to deal with these people. So never mind.
That's actually funny you say that, because after a bunch of blowback, the bar actually said that they, quote, love our LGBTQ plus patrons and all are welcome to celebrate heterosexuality with us in June. So they actually said gay people, all people are welcome at the bar to celebrate Hetero Awareness Month.
What a dumb story.
I had to share this when I saw this because I couldn't believe that this was happening. It's just, it's giving all lives matter. It's like June is Pride Month, but no, let's focus on the straights in Idaho. Too much attention on gay people.
But somehow even stupider, because what is he saying? There will be male heterosexual judges judging other male heterosexuals by like their pant lengths and their
I don't
tightness of
know.
their pants and the
It's
shorts and the
yeah.
like. How is that heterosexual? That's the most
I don't know.
erotic thing I've ever heard.
We're gonna have men admiring men to make sure they're straight. Amazing. Oh my gosh. The story is so great because it was a little bit of humor and hilarity. You know, sometimes you have the really just sort of, it feels like really bad and negative Republican GOP nonsense like Byron Donalds. And other times it's some dude in Idaho who thinks straight people don't get enough awareness the other 11 months of the year. So we need to add something to June.
Yep.
Okay, let's move on to the next topic, which is about Dolly Parton.
Right, which is actually like related.
Related, yes, it is related.
All Dolly Parton does is just mind her business, spread love everywhere she goes, and like keep those beautiful tatas like up and defying gravity. Like that's
beautiful.
What she does. And so for some reason, they want to.
That was not very straight of you to admire Dolly Parton's tatas. Don't you know it's Hetero Awareness Month?
Heterosexual,
very hetero.
Giving her a very heterosexual thumbs up on her tits.
Sure. Okay. But no, let's talk about Dolly Parton. What is the story there? Some people tried to cancel her this week, effectively.
Yes, the party of anti-cancel culture, the Republicans, decided that Dolly Parton just, releasing an album and just like mentioning how she loves everybody of all political stripes and sexualities, they decided there's a problem. So Dolly Parton, as we all know, is a universally, adored figure.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't offend anybody, and she's really gone out of her way not to do that. But this writer in the Federalist, Erica Anderson, took issue with her statement of neutrality and her statement of love, in which she just says, everybody can come the way they are. It doesn't seem like Parton released any like particular statement that triggered this. It's just like Dolly Parton's general aura is this aura of welcoming everybody. And this writer is trying to say that actually this is misguided. That this is
I think the motivation is that it's Pride Month and all the right-leaning straight people are very upset. So this is part of the backlash that's happening. I think that's the only motivation, because you're right. I don't think Dolly Parton did anything special this week to warrant this response.
Exactly. But what is baffling to me is that, they're saying like things like inclusion and acceptance and love usually only mean one thing to leftists. And Dolly Parton is the only one who extends that inclusion and acceptance and love to conservatives. And she doesn't extend it to other people. And other leftists don't extend it to conservatives. So in my mind, I'm like, so why are you writing a hit piece on Dolly Parton then? Because like, if you're saying that her message of love and acceptance includes, gay people and trans people, and also she includes conservatives, what's the problem? What is the issue?
She doesn't agree with their version of Christianity and love, and that's it. That's it. That's the issue. How dare she extend her positivity to everybody? She needs to keep it only for the good Christians, basically.
I mean, this is just such an own goal, I think, from my perspective. Like, you cannot pick on someone like Dolly Parton. She goes out of her way. She rejected medals of freedom from both Democratic presidents and Republican presidents because she doesn't want to be tied to anybody. As I said, she just like drinks her water and minds her business. So like trying to drag her into something like this is the dumbest move I've ever seen.
Yeah, and it's the excuse of Christianity. I think the article the Federalist writer wrote was trying to kind of say, like, it's a sin to be gay, is what I was gathering from it. And Dolly Parton doesn't call out that sin. And so that's the problem as well. And just, again, what a take during Pride Month. What a time. What a take. What a time for this take.
This feels like when they try to tell Jesus to condemn the prostitutes, and then he was just like, "No, I'm not going to do that." Like, just
oh my God, Olu, I haven't read the Bible. What story is this? What is this? What prostitutes? Oh my God.
Yeah, so like there was a lady who they accused of prostitution or maybe adultery, and then they wanted to stone her. And they try to get Jesus to say that they should stone her. And then Jesus just said, whoever has not sinned should cast the first stone. And
oh my God, that's okay. So today I learned that's where that phrase comes from. What? Oh my God.
Aren't you a Catholic?
Girl, I was Catholic, but I guess this is me feeding into the evangelical stereotype that Catholic people don't read the Bible. You're right, we don't. We only read the part the Pope tells us to read. So I don't think I heard this story. I may have heard it and forgotten. I've forgotten a lot about the Bible. That's a different discussion. Okay, I guess
just mad at her for refusing to play into their games.
Yeah, and oh my God, I just conservatives. I shouldn't have said that 3 times. One might appear in front of me. Let's just not do that again. Okay, but speaking of the Lord, actually, it's perfect segue. Speaking of Jesus Christ and the Bible, our next topic is amazing. Some might even say it's divine, because a Dallas-based Christian musician released a new single this week called "The Chosen One," where she says Trump is the chosen one, and the video is obnoxious. I want to say this is not satire, because I sent this to a few people when I saw it, and some people thought I was, it wasn't real and it must be parody, like something from SNL or something, but it's not. It's a real song by a real Christian singer who's based in Texas, and it's basically like, I saw a newspaper in Dallas call it a version of "What If Trump Was One of Us," like that hit Christian song. And she is basically posing that Trump is the chosen one. He's the one who the Lord has called to save America and save the world. And I listened to this song, and it really struck me how, to me, some of these Trump fans are unstable. I'll give you context. I have been watching this documentary on Netflix about Hitler and the Nazis, which you should check out.
That's a hard segue.
No, I'll get back to the point. I've watched this documentary about Hitler and the Nazis, and it really spends a lot of time focusing on the build up to, how Hitler took power in Germany. And one of the things that really struck me about it was how his fans and followers felt. There were a lot of people in German politics who let him sort of take over their party and take over the government. But the people, the society in Germany that supported him, they were head over heels in love with this man, crying there was a video of the people crying and screaming when he comes out to talk. And I'm like, I don't understand. Apparently there was a historians believe that he was very popular with women for some reason. I don't get it. Obviously, he's an evil person. But it really reminded me of how Trump voters see Trump. Now, is Trump Hitler? Honestly, I'm going to say TBD, because he has some Hitler tendencies. But the fan worship, the sycophant worship of Trump is really reminiscent of someone like Hitler. And hearing songs like this just really reminds me and everyone how important it is to vote in November. They are literally out here comparing him to Jesus Christ. And this is dangerous. It's insane, it's unstable, and it's very dangerous from a religious perspective, from a political perspective. And I think it's really important that we call this out. If you're a Christian, isn't it against your dogma that you should worship a single person? You cannot worship anyone. Isn't that the point? You're supposed to worship only God. At least I know that much, even though I don't read the Bible that much. I don't understand how this is okay, and I think it's really dangerous.
Yep. You sent me the video, and I was also initially is this a parody or troll? Because these days it's very hard to know. But even the lyrics are deranged and incoherent. This lady starts off by saying, "I'm not saying he's divine, but he's the chosen one." Hello? That is divinity. That is what the Messiah
That is what you say.
What are you talking about? Right? This is just the general ideological incoherence. They don't believe in anything. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in the country. Because nothing they do or say makes sense. The first sentence and the second sentence are directly in opposition to each other. And this is how they vote, and this is how they think.
It is. They say they want family values. They vote for a man that cheats on his wife. It's incoherent, and it is concerning that this man is this close in the polls to the White House. I don't get it.
Well, this is why he's this close, right? Because most people are sleepwalking through the election cycle that we're now fully in now in June. And we just have a very small amount of very engaged people on either side. And the people on the Republican side, they're very engaged people, just this kind of insane folks who are just into sloganeering and sort of nonsensical patriotism and Christianity that is not based in the Bible or in any real ideology.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I think we just have to be careful as a nation about what's happening. I don't think this is normal. I don't think it's okay. I think it's okay to, support your candidate, love your candidate, whatever. But this kind of worship, which is really what it is scary and should be disturbing to every American. It doesn't matter your religious slant. We are not a theocracy. We should not become one because of some unstable Christians. That's my point.
My hope is that this is some kind of, fever, like a malaria fever, and then it's going to break.
Okay. Let's move on to the last topic, which is our semi-regular segment on this podcast called Unsolicited Advice. And this week's unsolicited advice is to a very special group of people. And I'm saying that now so that they don't come after us in the comments. We upload this video. You guys are awesome. You guys are great. You guys are perfect. But the advice is for Tesla shareholders. Now, there's a lot of discussion happening right now at Tesla because this coming week, there is going to be a shareholder vote, and they are going to be voting to decide if Elon Musk should get a pay package worth $56 billion. For context, this package was actually agreed to in 2018. The Tesla board agreed to this pay package in 2018. But after Elon's shenanigans over the last couple of years have really affected Tesla and a lot of his other companies, and his management of the company hasn't been great, honestly. This is not even about politics or X/Twitter. It's also just from a purely business standpoint. Profits are down, sales are down, company's reputation isn't great. People are literally driving around with their Teslas with a sticker that says, "I bought this car before I knew the owner was crazy." So like Tesla is not in a great position. And in the middle of all this, some people on the Tesla board and some Tesla shareholders decided that they did not want to give Elon this $56 billion pay package, given how the company has been performing. A judge said he agreed with the people who didn't want to give Elon the package, and so the package was voided. But then this has been brought up again for shareholders to vote on again. And so this week, Tesla shareholders will be voting on whether or not to give Elon this pay package. That's super high level what's been going on. I think even if you're like tangentially into tech or cars, you must have heard about things about the Cybertruck and how bad it is. You must have heard about Tesla's build quality. You must have heard about sales being down. The company is not in a good space. Logically, I don't think any CEO who has run a company this way deserves this pay package. And so I think my unsolicited advice to the very special, awesome, amazing Tesla shareholders, vote no on Elon's pay package. That's my unsolicited advice.
I love all of the disclaimers because that's how you know you're dealing with like a crazy set of people.
Yes. Speaking of people who follow a leader, Elon fans, Musk fans are scary. So I'm just telling y'all now ahead of time, you are all great, but please don't vote for Elon's pay package.
I mean, what? I don't know. I've seen the boxy looking thing. It looks like a gray metal trash can.
Cybertruck. That's what you're thinking,
right? Cybertruck. I've seen it, and I don't get it either.
I don't get it.
I feel bad for the people who bought Teslas out of, actually really trying to, reduce their footprint on the climate and trying to make like responsible choices.
Yep.
But from my perspective, if these people have money to burn and they want to give a billionaire another 56 billion, like that's their problem. What I'm really concerned about is that is he going to pay taxes on those 56 billion? That's what I want to know.
Of course not.
Is what I need to know.
Of course he's not.
Rich shareholders want to give him more of their money, more power to them.
But the thing is, these aren't all rich shareholders, right? You got to think about people who are employees, for example, and earn their part of their salary in stock.
Right. The retirement funds.
If he continues to run the company the way he's running the company, that's really bad for people who are invested in Tesla and are not like, Warren Buffett level of money. People's pensions are tied into this. People's pay, like annual pay, is tied into this. People are relying on Tesla stock to do a lot for them. So that's not good. It's not all rich people. Some of them are, middle class. And so you got to think about those people. And also just like the thing about Tesla is I think it has done a lot for moving the discussion forward about electric vehicles and prompting more car companies to build electric vehicles, which is obviously great for the environment. But I think if you are being a logical business person, Elon is distracted with things like Twitter. The things he does on Twitter cause problems for Tesla because he says things and people cancel orders. He says things and the SEC gets involved. He's very distracted. That's not the CEO you want running a company like this. And rewarding his behavior, to me, seems insane. People get into a lot of trouble for doing a lot less than Elon has done in the last couple of years. And I'm sure there's many reasons for why he's getting away with this. But I don't think he deserves that pay package. And so that's why that's the unsolicited advice for this week is vote no on Elon's pay package.
Okay. And my unsolicited advice is to the IRS. If he gets this money, that's all. That's all I got.
Your advice is to the IRS?
Yes. This man's going to pay taxes on whatever bonus he gets. That's all I've got to say about this. Because we have a cult of personality for CEOs and Elon Musk is an even bigger cult. Like the CEO pay has just been rising exponentially for years and years and years. And I was just looking this up. Apparently less than 2% of CEO pay rises get declined. So I don't see how this is not happening. This is definitely happening. So it's up to the feds to make sure that somebody who is getting a 56 billion windfall, pays his taxes. That's all we have left.
Well, I'm gonna say this way. I don't want to burst your bubble, but I think a lot of it is in stocks, so he won't be paying that much taxes on it.
Of course.
Sorry. Sorry to disappoint you.
Yeah. So this is a good place to end it. The American is getting shafted in two ways from both sides.
That's true. I mean, all the sides, right? You're getting a shitty car from a shitty CEO who's not paying taxes. So,
yeah.
Amazing job, everyone. Capitalism, we did it.
All right. Thank you for joining us this week. We have been Olu and Liz. We will be seeing you again next week during Pride Month. We expect Republicans to continue to lose their minds, so we might have some more crazy stuff to discuss with you. And the political season is in full swing, so let's see what this election cycle brings us. Bye for now.